welcome to Lead Us in Conversation with your host, Noma Changa. Today we are featuring Brunch with Noma 2024. The reason why I'm bringing you this special edition is because this year was the final installment of the Brunch with Noma. The event happened on the 6th of April in 2024. Brunch with Noma was born in 2021 with the aim of empowering women across all spheres. The Brunch with Noma's theme for this year was Beyond Boundaries. Beyond Boundaries, especially for women, represent a transformative journey of breaking through societal, professional, and personal limitations. It embodies the courageous push against outdated norms and gender bias restrictions that have confined women for far too long. Today, we are bringing you a regular on our podcast, Lincoln Mali. Lincoln is an experienced banker, business leader, speaker, and an author with over 25 years in the financial services industry.
Leaders in Conversation with Noma Changa.
Lincoln Mali. Lincoln is an experienced banker, business leader, speaker, author of over 25 years in the financial services industry. He's currently the Chief Executive Officer, Southern Africa in Lesaka Technologies, Inc. Lesaka is a JSE-listed company focused on fintech in the financial inclusion space in Southern Africa. Lincoln made the move to Lesaka in 2021 following his role as a head of group cards and payments at the Standard Bank Group. In 2022, Lincoln published his book titled Blazing a Trail, Lessons for African Leadership. Proceeds of the sale of the book go towards funding the work of the Lincoln Mali Foundation, which is a non-profit organization that is focusing on youth upliftment as well as leadership development initiatives. We would like to welcome Lincoln Mali.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Sanmonani, Molweni. Are you guys well? Sure, I wish my wife and kids could see this. I mean, at home, my vocabulary is very limited. To yes, dear, no, dear, I'll do it now. But for people to listen to me, can you imagine? And even clap before I say anything. Wow. I wish my family could see this. I want to maybe ask you to do something first. Can I ask you to give the speakers and the panel before us a huge round of applause? I mean, I was sitting there and I was like, yo. Somebody said they were throwing bombs, and I mean, it was awesome. But then it leaves you with a challenge. You know, Good Friday, people will go to church for Amazwasteng. And they have those books in their Bibles where they write, this was the note. And then they go back and sin the whole week, and then come back again Sunday and listen to the preacher and write again and sing again. The only difference between a conference of this nature and a talk shop is the audience. Let me repeat. It's not the quality of the speakers, it's the quality of the audience. Whether are you listening and are you going to action? It's a pity this is the last of the branches. Maybe one of you will have another session next year, and then you'll attend. And you've just photocopied the things you had last year, but you've done nothing. So my only hope that if you hear anything of what I'm going to say, please don't look there. Look here. Am I making sense? Don't look there. Look here. And hold yourself accountable for what you will do. And then go back to that book and see, of the things I wrote, how many did I action? Because otherwise, we say, the problem is. Well, the problem is you. You know, when you are in traffic, we complain about traffic. But whose traffic? Am I making sense? So that if you're here for the clicks or the content, I'm the wrong person to talk to you. But if you're here for reflection, if you're here because you're going to introspect, if you're here because you want to drive change in the environment that's in your control, I'm your guy. Am I making sense? Right. So let's start. On the 29th of May, there's something big happening. What is it? Elections, right? Big thing. Only thing I want to ask, those of you who are managers, the people will see you on social media that you attended this thing. On Sunday, when they think about going to work under your leadership, what goes through their mind? Your partner, who you left behind, when you go back, they're like, she's gone to that brunch with Noma. What is in their mind? Because our speakers told us, we like the flashy things. We are going to vote or not vote. That's fine, your decision. Once in 5 years. What is the vote in your house? What is your vote in your business? If people had the right to vote, your children, would they vote for you? Your partner, would they vote for you? The school where you studied, have they seen you since you left? Again, if it's for the clicks, I'm the wrong guy. But if you're here to reflect and help us change the country, don't only look there. That's the 20%. The 80% is what is in your control. In your school, in your church, in your relationship. Wherever you have a sphere of influence, lead. Do something. So, if I've missed the plot, at least I told you what is it I want to talk about. Then you can either zoom off or be engaged. Am I making sense? Are you happy for me to proceed? Are you sure? Are you sure? Okay. Right. So, I wanted to have this conversation because I worked in corporate. I've worked in the public sector. I've been in the non-NGO community. And I found that none of the philosophies there suited me. I could not relate to the style of leadership that everybody was espousing. I could not relate to the leadership philosophy espoused by the universities, which is that of a hero leader who comes in, makes a magic wand, everything changes, and they go away in the sunset. I could not relate to that. That was not how I was brought up. So as I was grappling to find a model that relates to me, I remembered that at 18 years old, I'd been expelled from school. I was in and out of jail. I was in and out of court. I was trying to leave the country. I was part of a group of very angry young people who wanted to bring apartheid down and make the country ungovernable. But my father, my teachers, my priests and my sport coaches never gave up on me. They invested in me to make me what I am today. And I thought, what makes these people do that? Because nobody knew they were doing that. There's no fame, there's no fortune. And I want you to just think about your teachers, your priest, your school principal, wherever you come from. When you go back and they see you, their face lights up. Because their calling was to produce people like you. They may never have reached the levels you've reached economically. They don't drive the cars you drive. But their face lights up because their calling was to produce people like you. So I then decided that my model of leadership was to produce other leaders. Am I making sense? In the eyes of Waldo Emerson, it says, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there's no path and leave a trail. That was the context of blazing a trail. It was not the shiny stuff. It is about, in my area of responsibility, when I'm asked at the end of my life, what did you do? Can I say, I helped produce other leaders? When I was sitting there, I saw the caliber of leaders that were here. From Noma to the speaker to the panelists. And it reinforced this thing I've been saying that I cover in the book that says, our true leaders are hidden in plain sight. They are hidden in plain sight because we don't see them, because our lens is clouded. We're looking at the wrong thing. We're looking at the people with positions of power. You're not looking at the people who are leading. When I saw those ladies here, I was like, yes, we have leaders. When people say to me, what do you think about this country? Are you despondent? I'm like, no. Because I spend my time with young leaders. I spend my time with women leaders. I spend my time with entrepreneurs. And what I find is an energy and a drive that makes this country work in spite of those who are meant to lead it. Leadership is a choice. And if you decide to lead, you are able to bring about change. So that's why I want to talk to you about leadership. Some of you are in corporate roles. Some of you are entrepreneurs. Some of you have got a side hustle. Whatever you do has to do with people. If you don't do the people thing, don't do the leadership thing. They are same WhatsApp group. I see so many people, they work so hard, they're entrepreneurs, but the business goes nowhere. They go to 50 seminars, business goes nowhere. They've forgotten it's that small thing there in the corner called their people. They don't treat their people well. And then the customers walk. I'm going to another seminar. Why are you going to the seminar? Listen to the people. Talk to them, engage them, inspire them, make them part of your dream. But we're too important to take our people with us. So, when I hear people talk about the corporate world or the entrepreneurial world, what I hear is it's harsh, it's cruel, it's ruthless, all in the pursuit of those elusive results. I say, why am I in that same place for 30 years and I refuse to be evil? Those who say you cannot get results until or unless you destroy others, I say, I'm here. I choose a different path. It's your choice. Because we say you can't get results until or unless you are brutal. Until and unless you destroy others. But society and employees are crying out for a more caring, tolerant, and value-based working environment. That working environment will not create itself. It's created by us. I hear sometimes you say, corporate South Africa. Who is corporate South Africa? It's sitting here. Everybody knows how they should be treated by these ones, but they forget how they treat these ones. How? If you lead in a humane, humble, fair, engaging, and uplifting manner, that's your choice. I've chosen this path. You can get everlasting results without destroying others in the process. It's a choice. Holding people accountable doesn't mean you're brutal. Holding them accountable without destroying their self-esteem. So, we have this thing of drama. I go to shops and you hear the person or on social media. They are fighting for their rights and everything. But they take the same toxicity into the workplace. The way they shout, the way they talk to people, you're like, yo. What's worse now? Because we've got this hybrid or this work from home, we bring that toxic thing into the workplace, into the homes of people. The children are listening to you ridiculing their mother or their father, belittling them because you have the power to do so. Where's our humanity? When you've done that, what joy do you get that you're known as that person who's the destroyer of others? Where do we get that? So managing our emotions, our body language and tone and mood, even under the most stressful times, is a sign of leadership. It's in difficult and painful times that our true colors are revealed. Not what we post on social media, how people experience us all the time. My teams would say, hey, we should have a family day for our teams. I'm like, are you ready? It's like, what do you mean? I'm like, guy, remember, the person that most staff will talk about when they get home is the person who's their boss. Even if your name features prominently every day with negative vibes, then there's a family day. Oh, this is my boss. And the child says, oh, mom is there. Oh! What do people say about you? What conversations are taking place about you? I'm not saying we should be perfect, but my God, should we be this constant in all conversations at homes because we've destroyed others? So I ask of you, particularly those of you who are entrepreneurs, treat your employees exactly how you want them to treat their best customers. If you're not humble enough to make your people part of your journey, understand that you will not win, particularly in anything that has to do with customers. Because you don't deal with customers most of the time. Your employees do. Right? So, those leaders who don't listen will eventually be surrounded by people who have absolutely nothing to say. Feedback is fundamental for us as leaders, to hear how our people think about the organization, about us, where we're going, and all of that. We mustn't be like one of the presidents from one of the countries I'm not going to mention because I have to go to the country. They say to him, Mr. President, Your Excellency, sir, it's been more than 27 years. When are you finally going to say goodbye to the people? He says, why? Where are the people going? So there was a slight feedback problem there. As leaders, we cannot be hippos. Hippos are one of the most ugliest animals on this continent. They have the biggest mouth and the smallest ears. Are you a hippo? Because working with people is about sensing. It's about feeling the pulse, reading the room. It's about saying, pass up the volume. But don't do that when the volume is on top. Because you're not listening. Now the volume is on top, but when now you think, I must still, no context, no tone, no understanding, just the volume. At least I've spoken. Those of you who've got kids, how does pumping up the volume doing for you? How's that going? Because there's context. There's context, because if all you do is the high volume, then they tone down, they tone off. They already know you're going to speak. It's a sermon. It's like when I was starting in my relationship and starting marriage, if I did something wrong, I knew there was a sermon coming from my wife. And all of it had words that start with an I. Irresponsible, immature, inconsiderate, insensitive. I knew those words were coming. So I'll tone my ear to listen to the sermon. When it's over, I move on. So you got to know how to play with your volume. Right? So learn to respect people without first knowing who they are from a position point of view. Respect people. We come from communities that gave respect. But when we walk into corporate doors, we show the worst disrespect. We want people to know who we are. People call us by names. I keep on saying to people, my name is Lincoln or Lincoln, depending which school you went to. That is who I am. I'm not CEO, I'm not GCO. You're a CEO. No. Because if I'm fired by Lesaka and I'm walking the streets of Joburg, what will you call me? Call me by my name. And everyone who has to work with me knows me by my name. I have to try and know them by their name, not their positions and titles. There are people I've worked with for years. Even today, they don't know what my title was. They just know Lincoln. Oh, Lincoln said this. Oh, no, Lincoln, we disagree. Because I'm not defined by the title. Title of a beer bottles. So, if you're not growing people, you are missing on the biggest calling of what a leader is. Growing and developing your people is a fundamental calling. It is selfish for you to want to be developed, but you shall not develop your people. Develop the people you have so that they can reach the highest they can. In many ways, leaders are not too dissimilar to parents. When your people have done well, celebrate publicly and genuinely. When they've done something wrong, reprimand privately. Not this thing, I hate this thing of people coming late. The people who are there early all the time are like, what is this about? Because I'm here. You're not going to the person and having a conversation that says late coming affects customers and affects other employees, but you want to broadcast your displeasure. But are you effective? No. Address the problem. So, what I like to do is to lead people the same way I lead volunteers. Actually, volunteers can leave you any day. Volunteers can leave you any day. So if you don't lead as if you are leading volunteers, you are depending on the structure, the command, the pay, the whatever. So galvanizing your people to be like volunteers allows you to lead without the title or the position. Our job as leaders is to show light to the achievements of our people. How many times do you hear somebody junior's name being mentioned in the C-suite when something has gone wrong? How is a junior person's name mentioned in a C-suite? But you are the head of the division. When things go wrong, take accountability. When things are going well, you give credit to the team. And the people are not foolish. If they know you are in it for yourself, why should they bother? So, it's been probably 25 years, if not 30 years, of this conversation I've been having. And we were talking about it earlier. During apartheid, there were white people that decided not in our name. They decided that we shall oppose racism in all its forms. And that's why when our constitution was written, or when the Freedom Charter was adopted in 1955, it says South Africa belongs to all who live in it. A non-racial society was influenced by those Democrats who stood up and say, like Helen Joseph, not in my name. The same thing goes for men. Unless men can say not in my name, the challenges we have when it comes to gender will persist. I cannot be a woman, but I can choose to be a gender activist. It's a choice I make. Not because others approve. It's because what my conscience tells me. So if you're going to lead as a man and you cannot journey with women in your team, you've lost half of your team or more. What do I mean by this? You all have companies, or you work in companies. Can you go find for me in the HR manual of your companies, where does it give you guidance to lead a woman who's in an abusive relationship? To lead a woman who's having postnatal depression? To lead a woman who's been through a sexual violation? To lead a woman who's raising a child with disabilities? These are the daily things that women are dealing with. That cannot be outsourced to HR. It needs you as a leader to understand and journey with those people through that. Only way to do it is to learn, to listen, to empathize, to understand. And I give credit to an incredible range of women that have worked with me over 35 years, that have taught me so much. Because from them, I learn. Like today, I learned an amazing deal. But if you are not in those conversations as a man, how will you learn? If all you meet and you talk with your buddies only. But when it comes to leading, I'm not going to lead a group, the majority are women. But I have no dialogue with women. This is our challenge as men. We have a scourge of GBV in this country. Our job as men is to be the kind of men and boys with whom all women and girls can feel safe in all aspects of their lives. Are my nieces safe when they're with me? Are my employees safe when they're with me? Are my friends safe when they're with me? Are they feeling comfortable to be with me? Or they have to count twice, either because of my language, or I've got itchy fingers, or I've got eyes that undress them, or I've got words that demean them. These are the responsibilities we have. And if we're not calling it out, who will? If it's only women speaking about GBV and we as men don't speak about GBV, we have a talent. It also means that we have to build the next generation of men and boys who will remove the fear of women across the country. So many women have not felt the true freedom in this country. Can't walk where they want to walk, can't love who they want to love, can't prosper the way they want to prosper. We have to call it for what it is and play our part. Does that mean sometimes you're going to be disinvited? Of course. There are many WhatsApp groups you will not belong to. But are you going to stand for the truth, regardless of how others feel? This is our challenge. And I commend the men who are in this room, because you've chosen to be here. You've chosen to listen. You've chosen to journey. Some of the conversation that we had earlier was how supportive men can be. You know, I wrote this thing some time back, and I was talking about my wife. And I was saying, whenever she's in the limelight, I've learned to be in the background. When she speaks, I've learned to be silent and to listen. When she's down and frustrated, I've learned to be supportive. And whenever she has dreams or ambitions, I've learned to share in those dreams. Whenever she has felt wronged, I've learned to apologize and make up. Those who are in relations will know the makeup thing. It's got levels, that thing. Whenever she gets upset, I've learned to disappear. So, building our families is important. Before we say we'll vote for that party, are we bringing up a family? Are we present as fathers? Are we engaging with our children? I have raised 2 young girls. One is 34, another is 23. How am I raising them? I have a son who's 18. How am I raising him? These are the questions I have to contend with. So as I try and wrap up, I want to have now got a conversation with you, my sisters. The first one is, those of you who've got kids, you're raising girls. Are you raising your daughters in such a way that they don't have to worry about who will marry them? Because instead of saving money for a wedding day, shouldn't we be spending it well on her education? Most importantly, instead of preparing her for marriage, prepare her for herself. Teach her self-love and confidence. My daughters, I teach them to be assertive, to be independent, to be vocal. But I also say, mind the context.
In the heart of Africa's vibrant business landscape, there is a force driving change, innovation, and growth. Introducing Ziana Group, a beacon of bespoke professional services, pioneering the future of business solutions and technology across the continent. At Ziana Group, we are more than just consultants. We're partners in progress. Our ethos, people-centered, solutions-driven, and technology-inclined. With our cutting-edge AI-powered HR digital technology and a commitment to customer success, we empower organizations to unlock the unlimited potential of their people and optimize operational processes. In a rapidly evolving work landscape where talent is seeking control and new concepts like fractional talent are emerging, Ziana Group stands ready to navigate the challenges and seize the opportunities. Rooted in sub-Saharan Africa with a strong presence across multiple countries including Kenya, Nigeria, Mozambique, and more, Ziana Group is dedicated to driving superior business performance across the region. Join us in shaping the future of African business. Ziana Group, empowering the future of African business.
And I say to them, my babies, you don't have to RSVP for every conflict. Please, there's no need. Don't RSVP for every conflict. Right? On sometimes you may be right, sometimes you may be wrong. And as a father, I have to tell you the truth. My eldest daughter will call me and say, Pops, can I ask you something? I'm like, yeah. But please, Pops, please, I want you to talk to me as my father, not as a manager. I said, yes, I will talk to you as your father, who's also a manager. Because if I'm not being straight with her, there may be things that she does wrong in the workplace. Similarly, my son, I have to raise him in an environment where he has to compete with women. In the workplace, entrepreneurship, whatever, he has to be respectful of women. He has to trust women. He has to journey with women. And if he doesn't start by having a lot of friends who are women, I have to say to him, do you get to know enough about women? Because you have to engage and get to know people. So, you heard it. Angzwanga? Kaupinde? Nyusa I volume. Right? This you're doing it not to shout, but you're doing it because without a voice, there are people who are not there, who don't have a voice. Your voice has to be amplified because you speak for a bigger number of people. Our companies, our relationships, our marriages, our communities cannot succeed if half of the community is muted. If half the population is muted, we have a problem. So we have to amp the volume. But in doing so, we become conscious. If we're not being effective, let's say to young men, are they listening to us? Or context. You know, I remember when our relationship was starting with my person, and she would want to talk about something. And she has those words that we all dread. Can we talk? You! When you say that to a man, you! But she will do it at the time when that team that is not Kaizer Chiefs is playing. Context. Context. Or as the news are starting. Context. Context of the conversation is important, right? Now, who are we? Who are we sitting in this room? We are the bearers of light. But you've got to be brave enough to see that and brave enough to be that light with the consequences that our speakers told us about. Don't say, I want to be the light under all these conditions. If all these conditions are met, I shall be light. Being light comes with consequences. It's a choice. And as you correctly said, if you change your mind and say, I shall not be light, it's okay. It's okay. But don't fool yourself and say, I'm light when you're not light. If you're light, be that light. Now, there's this thing about people wanting to be perfect. I think it was raised. This thing of wanting to be perfect. Guys, nobody is perfect. No one is perfect. What you should be doing is making sure that people get inspired about how you deal with your imperfections. How are you dealing with your imperfections? Aspiring to be perfect is a problem. You also have this thing of social media, where you have somebody who's perfect. They've been working on that picture for 5 hours. They post that picture, and you now want to be that person in 5 seconds. Really? So one of the speakers mentioned something powerful, and I see it in corporate all the time. Somebody will work on a presentation. Then the presentation has got one or two words missing. As it happens. It happens, right? And then the presentation is there. Then the lady will, for 6 months, all she'll talk about is, that presentation. I know, Jonathan, all they talk about is that presentation. Guy presents afterwards. He's got 15 typos. But he does it with gusto. He's got half the competence, but double the confidence. Guys, when something goes wrong, because it will. When something goes wrong, it will. Do it the way you do when you have wardrobe failure. I'll explain, guys, this thing later. I'll brief you. You will be at dysfunction, and you're doing your content, and then, but what do? Go to the toilet with somebody else, fix it up. We're here, right? Why can't you do the same? Because something will go wrong. Do not carry for months a mistake. A mistake doesn't define you. Am I making sense? Right? So, I'm hoping these conversations will free you. It will free you from this prison where you are fearful of what others think. You are so driven by outside stimuli. You should be driven by what's in your gut. The fire that's burning in your belly is what matters. Our speakers told us, if you're worried about this, you will only do what you think the crowd allows you to do. Some of you get a promotion. There were other people that were meant to get the promotion. They gave it to you. And then something goes wrong. And then you're like, I wasn't ready. There was this mistake. And you start to get that Cinderella syndrome. Am I making sense? You start to doubt yourself. Now are in a negative spiral. Maybe I wasn't the right thing. Maybe those guys are right. You never listen to the people who appointed you in the first place. Actually, there was a panel. When the interviews, and even aptitude tests, you beat everybody, you got the job. Something goes wrong. And now you're worried about the people that didn't make it. How on God's earth are they going to be on your side? Right? So, you have to love what you do. You've got to be passionate about what you do. You have to love and cherish what you do. If you come to work with a hang-dog look, why should anybody stay with you? Why should employees stay with you? Why should customers be with you? I hear some of you sometimes talk about your own companies, where those work.
For more from Leaders in Conversation with Noma Zibulo Changa, you can continue listening to the rest of this episode on your audio streaming service app. Our podcast is available on various audio streaming platforms. Details in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.